From ThreeZero and their Transformers MDLX line, this is their Megatron, specifically the Big Bad Toy Store exclusive G2 Megatron. I'm gonna let you guys in on a secret. The G2 design for Megatron is actually probably my favorite, at least when it comes to the G1/G2 era. I like him a lot more than the G1 Megatron, and even though I thought the original MDLX Megatron looked amazing, I didn't like the color scheme. It's just too boring, just the grays, the blacks, the reds. But this guy looks wild. If you're unfamiliar with ThreeZero and their MDLX line, basically these are Marvel Legends-esque scaled figures. They are non-transforming, but they are heavily articulated, detailed, and painted. As well as that, this box is special because it's done in the style of the original G2 boxes. Here's a side profile of Megatron. Here on the back, we can see him screaming Megatron Attack. That was in the G2 Toys voice box. You can see the things like Bat Cannon, Fusion Cannon, Generation 2 style color scheme, approximately 45 points of articulation. Over here, it's just a description. He's around 7 inches tall. There's around 45 points of articulation, die cast in the frame. Pretty cool, pretty cool. I really like how this box looks, and, well, I think I've seen enough of it now. I want to see how this figure looks and feel how they feel. I do this with all the ThreeZero figures. Megatron here is actually one of the cheaper ones. He's $100. He doesn't come with all the accessories of the normal Megatron, but you can see he's still packaged incredibly well. You have 2 trays, all the accessories and extra hands here. The figure has saran wrap over him, so you're not going to have any paint damage, or at least you shouldn't. So now that we have him properly out, let's look at this figure. Getting Megatron straight out of the box, and you are met with this. Megatron always has a bit of a hard time with figures, right? Usually Optimus and Starscream, their figures usually turn out pretty good. Bumblebee, he has more good figures than bad. Megatron, though, it always feels like if any of the big 4 have a stumbling block, it's him. Looking at this figure, right? I'm not quite as blown away as I was with, say, the Starscream, but there's still such an undeniable presence here, an awesome energy. And keep in mind, right, this robot mode was made for G1 Megs. The fact that we even got a G2 paint scheme is basically just fan service. But it does just undeniably fit the character. It looks so good. Even if you just want to get this figure for the mold, want to get the G1 version or the animation version, you can't deny that it exudes the character. That said, it doesn't quite feel like Megatron without his extra pieces, you know? First thing I'm going to point out is the Bat Cannon. So, on Megatron, this is just the gun barrel that's usually hanging out over his back. Here for a G2 Megatron, though, they painted it purple to try to simulate the tank turret that's usually there. Of course, it can't go down, it can't be right on his shoulder the way it would normally be on a G2 Megatron, but I at least appreciate the effort to make it work. The thing that is a little bit more obvious is the Fusion Cannon. Now, the Fusion Cannon comes in 2 separate pieces. I think the idea is potentially you could use either or. Maybe you just want a smaller Fusion Cannon. In fact, let me make sure of that right now. Here. Nope, I was super wrong. So, you have to put it together. Boop, boop. So, is that the bottom? I thought that was supposed to be the top. There we go. So you can see massive, massive Fusion Cannon for our Megatron. And it should just slide into these ports on his forearm. It's not going to go on super well. There we go. You just kind of have to coax it on. Slowly but surely, we got it onto our boy Megs. And now he looks fabulous. With all of his guns on him, this Megatron really shines. You can see just how insane the styling went when it came to ThreeZero and their redesign for Megatron. It's a little bit more hinged than I would like. I would prefer a smaller Fusion Cannon, I think. But this still works pretty well. I can't really deny that. And if I wanted to, I could always take the Fusion Cannon off. Technically speaking, G2 Megs didn't have a Fusion Cannon on his arm. In fact, let me just see what that looks real quick, just for me. Boop. Boop. Oh, wow. There we go. In all honesty, I might keep it like that. I don't know why. The Fusion Cannon is cool. Like, I like this. It just... I don't know, man. The Fusion Cannon is great on Megatron, but this is just a bit much, I think? It's just my personal opinion. It's a good-looking Fusion Cannon, just not for me. Of course, ThreeZero figures aren't just about their looks. They also have amazing posability. Looking at Megs, We have a ball joint in the head and a ball joint in the throat, so we get a massive range of motion in the head. Here in the shoulder, you not only have a universal here, but you have a universal connected to that universal, and you have an armor plate that gets out of the way. Alongside that, the shoulder has a butterfly joint. Down below that, we have an upper arm cut, a double jointed elbow, universal at the wrist, boop, boop. We have an ab crunch that goes that far down, boop. Come on, Megs. There we go. And that far back. Boop. And then a waist joint. All of these armor plates get out of the way so we can move the legs. That said, I'll say this. This plate pops off a little bit easily on mine. Not to the point where it's just falling off, but it's happened a few times now. Universal at the hips. And then we have upper leg cuts, double jointed elbows, and just look at that detail. Just look at the detail of that leg. I love that. And then down below, we have ankle rockers up and down at the toe, and these armor bits get out of the way. Again, going over this entire figure, you can see, like, here's the gun legs, here's the proportions, here's the details that you'd expect from a gun Megatron. I'm actually kind of amazed just how well this works as a G2 Megatron, though. Like, aside from the legs, which are obviously supposed to be the handle of a Walter P-38, you know, you could convince me that this was designed from the ground up to just be a reimagining of G2 Megs. Like, it works really, really, really well. Alongside that, we do have some extra accessories. We've gone over all the guns, but we have alternate hands. He comes straight out of the box with 2 closed fists. Alongside that, we have 2, I would say, manic hands, like I'm going to strangle the life out of you hands. We have 1 kind of grippy hand, like he's holding a gun, and then 1 pointer hand, like he is sending out a command. So, you have options. I will point this out, he doesn't come with anywhere near as many hands or pieces as Optimus or as Starscream, but I think you still have a lot to work with. Just to exchange the hands, we're going to lightly pull this one out, boop, and I'm going to put in the pointer finger, because why not? Boop. You just gotta slowly work its way in. Remember, if you ever have issues with this, you can always use hot water or a hairdryer. Thankfully, I had no major issues. So, doop, doop. He's got a pointer finger now. He's making a point. Oh, yeah. Yep. He's probably saying something about how Starscream will never leave the Decepticons. Here we go. There we go. There we go. Yeah, that's decent. In terms of scaling with other toy lines, here he is with a red Optimus Prime, which is to say a figure that's about the height of a larger Marvel Legends. You can see he has a good bit of width and height on Optimus here. Here's Megatron with Bumblebee and Cliffjumper, and as you can see, he absolutely towers over the mini-bots, as he should. Here Megatron is with Optimus from this line, and I'm very happy that he's actually a little bit taller and bulkier than Optimus. I prefer Megatron to be a little bit larger than Optimus, and this works a treat. And then finally, here's Megatron with Starscream, and honestly, I think Starscream makes Megatron look a little bit puny. Now, don't get me wrong, Megatron's definitely a little bit taller than Starscream, but I think the wings fill Starscream out so much that Megatron, in turn, looks a little smaller. I'll be honest, a part of me regrets getting Megatron after Starscream. I think I would have been blown away by him had I not messed with Starscream right before. I think Megatron is on par with Optimus. I think he's as good as Bumblebee and Cliffjumper. He just doesn't have the wow factor that Starscream did. But it's not for lack of trying. I think that this is still a really good figure. He's just a little less than. But considering that Starscream was 120 and he was 100, well, I guess I could reasonably say I like Starscream $20 more than Megatron, if that means anything. This G2 Megatron is a good figure. A very good figure. I understand that most people would probably want to go with the standard G1 colorations, but for all honesty, for what I wanted for this, I adore this version of Megatron. I might still pick up the G1 colors at some point, but honestly, I'm really happy with this being my representation of Megatron in this collection. Is it a perfect Megatron? No. Do I even necessarily like everything that comes with this Megatron? Not really, but I do really, really enjoy it. The G2 Megatron is one of my favorite vintage Transformers, and quite frankly, I've been looking for a good representation of it for a very long time. I think this one scratches my itch, but it's going to make it really awkward when we get to the next review.